Dial 5 now.
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
It's hot here. Well, hot for this time of year anyway. 79 degrees. 4.5 hours. Three times. Anyway, I got a question for you. You're asking me all of these questions, or actually, I've heard. Matter of fact, I have many of your entries into your blog and things like that different people have sent me over the months and years. My question is, how do you come up with some of these conclusions if you don't have the phone records, the bank records, all the different stuff that are absolutely necessary in order to actually surmise anything? I'm confused how you can actually make statements. Especially a lot of the statements. Perfect, for instance, is the entry that you did about the chariot of death. In other words, basically stating that definitively it's my truck in the video. How is it that without all of the information, because I have all of the information about the vehicles, but only probably 20 or 25% of it was actually presented in trial. But even at that, the 20 or 25% that was presented in trial definitively number one, demonstrated that the vehicle in the video was definitely longer and narrower than my truck. There's no question. The vehicle in the video had no running lights at all, and you would have seen the running lights if it was my vehicle. There's no question. The running lights were very bright, and they were on whenever the headlights came on. The vehicle in the video had a tail light, that like a wraparound tail light that you could see throughout the entire video. The alleged by the prosecution alleged that it was a glow or a reflection of some kind, which you don't seem to me like you are stupid enough to believe that a reflection can happen throughout an entire 15-second video. It just doesn't make any sense to me how you can come to those conclusions when virtually all of the evidence was pointed to it not being my vehicle. Almost every bit of it. The only thing that pointed even close to the possibility of it being my vehicle, and I'm willing to admit that I was almost dumbfounded when I saw it. I'm like, what? But the problem with it is it was very, very faint, and you really couldn't tell what the fuck it was. That little glow around where a bumper would be was in virtually really, really close, if not virtually almost exactly where the electrical plug was on my truck. But that's the only single piece of evidence that could possibly be, you could say, oh, well, look, there's something, but in reality, that glow was completely undiscernible. And it could have been a simply just like the glow. You remember how whatever it was, I guess it was the bumper that wrapped around it and it had a little line where it actually glowed. It did glow. It could have been almost anything. It could have been a bumper sticker, for God's sake. You just don't know. There's just no way to tell what it was. So that's the only piece of evidence that even comes close. And all of the other evidence about the truck, and I mean everything, the width of the vehicle, the length of the vehicle, the fact that it didn't have running lights, the fact that the one in the vehicle in the video had a running light, or I mean a tail light, and you would not have been able to see the tail light if it was my truck, number one. Number two, the tail light on the vehicle in the video was literally 27 inches lower than my tail light on my truck. So even if you could see the tail light on my truck, which you couldn't because it was on the very back of it. So I'm just curious, how can you come to those conclusions with so little or virtually or evidence that demonstrates that it's almost certainly not some of the things that you are asserting the evidence shows? The prosecutor, in closing argument, did say for certain that it was my truck. Did. There's no question. He did. Fraudulently asserted that it was my truck throughout the entire, by even putting on an expert that would say something as stupid as that was a glow or something that he doesn't know. I don't know what it is, he says. I don't know. I'm just saying, telling you what I see, and it seems to be in near the handle of that, of Mr. Merritt's truck. Then he says, well, if it's not Mr. Merritt's truck, then it's something about it being another truck just like it. What the fuck do you mean? If it's another, the man was an idiot, but yet, obviously, the jury and the judge, not the judge so much, because the judge let me rephrase that. The judge let the prosecutor argue that it was my truck in closing argument, but then at the motion for a new trial, he actually said there's no that he actually said none of the experts came to the conclusion that it was or was not my truck. When that is not, the judge said that, and when in reality, both the prosecution's first expert, the one that they fired and we ended up putting on the stand, said no, it's not his truck. Mm-hmm. And our expert said no, it's not his truck. Their expert says, I don't know. But all I can say is consistent with.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
It's truck or not. So the two experts said it wasn't. One says, I don't know. But yet, you have people like you putting things on a blog like Chariot of Death. That's where I have a problem. I just wanted to let you know. Whether it's for notoriety, whether it's just to say something to whatever it is, I believe that people like you have a responsibility to get the facts correct. If you're going to come to conclusion, make absolutely sure you have all the evidence to back that conclusion up. You gave the opinion as it was like it was a fact. The Chariot of Death. That's giving an opinion as if that's a fact. And it's a fact that it cannot be backed up, and was not even backed up in trial, much less anywhere else. But yet you put it out there as fact, and wherein lies the big problem with what occurred throughout the trial. Innuendo, supposition, inferences that should never have been made by the prosecutor, by the judge, by the detectives, inferences that could not be supported by the evidence, not even close. And I'm talking about not just the truck video, but the truck video, the checks. We had a detective get on the stand and say he believes that I told him that Joseph wrote those checks. If you read my testimony, or if you read my interview with that same detective, I told him 17 times during that interview that I wrote those checks, and how much they were for, and what exactly they were for. But yet he gets on the stand and says that I said Joseph wrote the checks. My defense counsel did nothing about it. They'd overlooked it. They knew that he was lying, but yet that's the type of thing that just constantly went on throughout the trial. And it was pathetic. It was, and it was sad because virtually none of the truth actually came out. Anyway, I just needed to let you know just how I felt about that, because I think if you're going to say something in your blog or anywhere else, back it up with evidence. And if you can't back it up with evidence, find the evidence, or don't assert it as true. You might say, it's my opinion that it's Mr. Merritt's truck, but you don't come out with a blog that says Chariot of Death, asserting that it definitely was, and here's the reasons. And the only reason you cited the only reason you cited was that glow.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Come on, All right, excuse me. Can I have it for 5 more minutes? 3:20. 3:20. Well, he okay. All right. Thank you. I got to go. So, anyway, think about it.
Yep.
What you say before you say it, and I'll do whatever I can to. If you have a question about evidence, I will answer you honestly, and I will give you evidence, the evidence that backs up anything that I say. When my book comes out, it'll blow your mind, as a matter of fact. But do yourself a favor, because